Well, hello out there in YouTube land. What's going on? How's it going? Hey, how's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay today? I hope so. Welcome to the Weekend Geek Chat. This is the only second one that we've done. Specifically, primarily, this is the one for my second channel. So if you're watching on my second channel, cool. If you're watching on my main channel, my other channel that has really nothing to do with geek stuff. I mean, it kind of does, but not really. Just so everybody knows, if you're watching over there, this is just geek stuff. That's all we're going to be talking about today. So if you're, but yeah, that's what we're doing today. Saturday afternoon geek chat. And like I said, I was going to be doing when I started doing this 2 weeks ago. I said I'd be doing a few weeks where I'm simulcasting on both channels at the same time. So whichever one you're watching on, thank you for watching. But here we are. We're here. We're going to talk about some geeky shit. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you got questions, I've got both chats open for both channels so that I can see comments coming in from both sides. Yeah, that's where we are right now. That's what's going on. That's what's up. So we are joined today by some fellow geeks. We've got Angry with us. Hello, Angry.
Hello.
Hello. Andrew is here.
Greetings.
What's up, Andrew? We've never talked voice to voice. Like, I think I've talked to you many times, but I could only ever see you texting, chatting at me. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Of course, yeah. And then, of course, we were joined by Sleepy Duke.
Oh no, not sleepy.
He's not sleepy today.
Not sleepy.
Well, first of all, because it's like early for you. Normally, we do chats at like
so early. It feels
10
so
o'clock
great.
your time.
Yes. Yeah. Let's keep that in mind. That
Like
I'm
magic. Yeah.
East Coast time, homie.
Yes, I know.
I will be awake tonight.
So you'll be awake this evening, this after. Well, it's evening. Well, I feel like evening is once you hit 6. Like 6 is then officially evening. You're no longer afternoon.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
I agree.
I feel like that. So we're evening here, early evening, to talk about some geek stuff. We're going to talk about some TV shows. We're going to talk about some movies. I'm going to talk about some toys. And we're just going to fucking go from there and then see what you guys are saying out there in the chat. So that's basically what this is. But so but there's a few things I want to talk about. But first, I want to talk about, has everybody watched the new, I say new, it came out about a week ago, the new Andor trailer?
Yeah.
Disney Plus. That thing, like, I'll be honest. Cassian Andor didn't give two shits about him in Rogue One. And I love Rogue One. It is sometimes my favorite, depending on my mood, sometimes my favorite Star Wars movie. I mean, I put it up there with Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It is just so damn good. And I was blown away when that movie came out because I wasn't, I thought it would be good. I didn't expect it to love it as much as I did. And it just turned into one of those movies, not just a Star Wars movie, but one of those movies that I can just watch over and over and over again. Like if there's nothing else on, I'll fucking put Rogue One on and just watch it. I just enjoy the shit out of it. I think just on its own, it's a great story. Doesn't hurt that it has like just an awesome badass Darth Vader hallway scene. That doesn't hurt it. That definitely helps it. But just on its own, I think it's a fucking great movie. Like it's just perfectly paced. But honestly, for me, I'd be real honest. Cassian Andor was kind of the weakest character for me because, and I don't know, it was because I think in the course of the movie, unlike with like, let's say Han Solo, right? Like in the first movie, Han Solo has kind of a little mini story arc because, he starts out as a scoundrel that doesn't give a shit about anybody and all this kind of stuff. And then by the end, he decides to not become selfish anymore and come back and save the day. Cassian Andor in the Rogue One is basically like, I mean, I get it. He's doing the right thing for the galaxy, but like, he's never really a likable or even good character. Like he starts out right at the beginning, kind of pulling a Han Solo, where that one guy, giving him information and he's like, oh, they're coming. You need to run. Oh, what do you mean? He just fucking kills him. But he never really like comes up from that. I mean, some people would argue at the end when he knows he's going to die, he kind of, But like, you're going to die anyway at that point. And he doesn't really do anything over the course of the movie that really, to me, ever made him seem like anything more than just a good soldier that was willing to do what needed to be done, which is admirable. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, he didn't have like a typical story arc.
He had no arc. He was very straightforward character. It was who he was. He didn't have a lot of development. I would agree with that. Do you think it would have been different had Rogue One had a trilogy?
Maybe, but that's why that's why I'm surprised about the trailers that I'm seeing coming out of this, because I feel like we're gonna get that growth with this character that we didn't get in the movie.
Yeah,
because the trailers look amazing. The first teaser trailer came out, looked fantastic. That new one that just came out looks
really
fucking amazing.
It really looks like it put Obi-Wan and Mandalorian and Boba Fett to shame.
Oh, if that trailer, and look, it could always turn out to be a disappointment. I get it.
No,
I mean, but
I think everybody's sleeping on this. This is going to come out.
And that's what I think too, because not a lot of people are talking about this. This doesn't have any of the hype that Mandalorian, Boba Fett, or Obi-Wan did. Hell, this doesn't even have the same level of hype as that fucking, what's the name of that fucking Clone Wars spinoff with the troopers, the
Rebels?
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, yeah. Like Bad Batch had way more hype behind it. And I'm gonna be honest, there was like 2 good episodes in that whole season, like that I actually enjoyed. The rest of them I forced myself to watch. I don't even remember how the fucking season ended, and I don't care. Like Bad Batch was a huge disappointment to me, but that was way more hyped than Andor has been. And I'm watching these trailers and going, well, either they've just put all the cool shit in the trailer, which they do sometimes, or this is going to be a good show.
I tried getting through Clone Wars, and I fall asleep through it.
Clone Wars
animation.
Clone Wars. I've watched all of Clone Wars. There is a Jolly. He's a friend of the chat, Jollifer, Mr. Achilles. He put together. So when I decided, because I had never watched Clone Wars when it originally came out, he put together a thing, and it's posted somewhere on my Discord. He put together a thing of must-watch episodes that you don't need to watch but are good, episodes that you don't need to watch at all. And like he broke it down into several different categories. And I actually went off of that. And so the episodes he said skip, I skipped. And
so it's about 18 episodes of watchable.
No, actually it's about I would say 2/3. There was a solid third that didn't add to the story, didn't do anything, where I was able to skip. And again, having never watched it all the way through originally, I don't know how much better my viewing experience was, but I know I enjoyed it by going off of that. I will say the first season was rough, because the first season, while it sets up a lot of stuff,
it's trying to find its pace.
Yeah, and so it's a little slower and almost seemingly in the first season, I feel like they were being told like we need to gear this towards kids, and then after the first season was over, they were like, well, wait, no, everybody's digging this. Let's just make it good, and then go from there. And then it got much better. There's a lot of really cool stuff in that show. Especially when it comes to like Anakin and the Force and just the mythology behind it, and delving in more to the quote unquote magic side of things, and showing other realms that are controlled by the Force, and there was a bunch of cool stuff in that.
And then you get Ahsoka's backstory, which that's what I was more interested in. Yeah.
And she definitely gets better. She starts out horrible in the first season. Like, she's just not a likable character in the first season. But she's supposed to be a non-likable character. She's supposed to be an annoying character that grows into. And that's what happened for people that watch the show, is she starts out annoying and she grows into like a fan favorite. So, but yeah, no, Andor looks fucking awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. I know they pushed it back to September. It was originally supposed to be end of August, and then we got She-Hulk coming out, and I guess because they had done this during Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel, they were basically playing 2 shows a week, and there was a throughout, I think it was like a six week period of time, And I guess that didn't work out for him. So they decided, you know what, let's push Cassian Andor back so we can basically play most of She-Hulk, you know, and that'll be like the main focus. And then I think there's a couple weeks of overlap, but not much. But I know we're supposed to get the first 3 episodes are supposed to drop all at once, which is awesome. Really, really glad there.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That'll be cool.
So
to get,
to
like, 3
go with
straight
She-Hulk
episodes.
for a second, it looks like they corrected the CGI a little bit. Is that
Oh,
what
yeah,
y'all
they
are saying
did.
too?
Yeah, they corrected it a lot, honestly.
Well, I
It
heard-
looks way better.
I heard the trailer that leaked was an unfinished version.
Yes, and that's why they like very hurriedly slapped together and finished the trailer because it had already leaked online, and they're like, well, if this thing's going out, we're gonna be in control of it. So they released an official version that wasn't quite ready. That was still better than the one that leaked, but it still wasn't quite ready because they were trying to get ahead of the leak. And so they dropped it, and that was back in May or early June. And the CGI didn't look great, but it was better than the leak was. And then about a month later is when they came out with the official trailer, or whenever Comic-Con happened, which was 3 weeks ago now, 3-4 weeks, I can't remember.
Something like that.
And they dropped like an official full-blown trailer that is much, much better. So I mean, I get why they did it, because they didn't want that leaked, unfinished trailer to be, what the show was judged by. So they put out
because
something.
it was getting bombed on the internet, so they had to do something.
I mean, that trailer that came out during Comic-Con, I'll be honest, that got me pumped. That trailer to me, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people complaining. That's fine, and we'll talk about the complaints people had. But that trailer to me, when I was watching all the trailers that were coming out of Comic-Con, a lot of cool stuff coming out of Comic-Con, right? Like that trailer got me more excited about She-Hulk than the Black Panther trailer got me excited about Black Panther 2. And Black Panther 2 looked cool, looked awesome. In my head, I still have one big problem, which is they decided to kill T'Challa off. I get you want to throw some respect to Chadwick Boseman, and he was a fucking amazing T'Challa. But my firm opinion is the character is bigger than the person playing it. This is with Superman, with Batman, with Spider-Man. I mean, look at all these other characters that have been played by multiple actors.
Look at the Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the Hulk.
And the same, and the Edward Norton is canon in the Marvel universe. So
yeah.
So who do you think would play a good Chadwick Boseman?
I don't know. I mean, if you go back like 10, 15 years, I think Idris Elba would have been like the perfect fucking Black Panther.
Yeah, he's like too old now, though.
Yeah, he's too old.
Have you seen the meme that Robert Downey Jr. comes back as T'Challa?
Yes.
Him from
Yes.
Dude, that is fucking amazing. That is hilarious. I love that shit. And you know what? He could probably get away with it too. Like if they just did it, like if they just did another like multiverse, and it was like just him in blackface showing up as a multiverse version for like a cameo appearance, from some other weird universe, and he was T'Challa. Like that would be just hilarious. And I think even given the climate of today in movies and TV shows, I think he can still get away with it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I think the What If series, Chadwick Boseman in it, like they had a retro do it or whatever, but that was as good as Black Panther.
Oh, I love the What If series. Yeah.
So
that was
I'm
cool.
not sure if they would have to like find somebody who's as iconic. Like people were kind of like, well, he's a lame character, whatever. But then you actually start to see how cool he is, I would say. And he has a certain feel to him. I'm not sure if you could find somebody to replace him as easily as, okay, well, we're going to make Shuri the main character now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do. And there's somebody out there. I don't know who it is. There's somebody out there who could be T'Challa. And while it would, some people would be upset about it, I think it's a much better solution than just like, well, the real guy died, so let's kill off the characters. Like, wait a minute. This is that character is one of the staples. Like I can't remember. I think he's 60. when did Black Panther premiere? Was it 64, something like that? And he was like one of the first, or he certainly was the first black superhero that exploded. You know what I mean? That became a mainstay of comics. Like there were other black characters that had been around before Black Panther, but like you've never heard of them. You know,
I guess they didn't want to do another War Machine kind of reboot. Like, okay, so it's this guy in the first movie, and now it's Don Cheadle or whatever.
Yeah, just have Don Cheadle play T'Challa too. Just
right? And he's like, okay, so I'm Black Panther now. I'm here. Get over it. Like they did in the second Iron Man movie.
Yeah. Or have the guy that what was his name that originally played it?
Why did he get replaced?
Oh, he got replaced because
he was like fighting with Stafford. Well, not like physically fighting. Like,
well, no. What happened was when the first Iron Man movie was being made and had come out, Robert Downey Jr. was kind of poisoned at the time. You know what I mean? Like he was no longer in jail, no longer in rehab, and he was trying to make a comeback. But you know, there was a lot of baggage there. Whereas, and I'm blanking on the other guy's name. I can't remember his name. The guy who played War Machine in the first movie.
Discount radio guy.
I cannot remember. I'm blanking on his name.
Not
somebody out there in the chat.
Not Cuba Gooding Jr., but the other guy that looks exactly like him.
Terence Howard. Thank you, Gemini. Terence Howard. Terence Howard was actually coming up, and he was a bigger name at that time than Robert Downey Jr. And he was doing some stuff and getting awards buzz and all that kind of stuff, right? So in the first movie, he actually got paid more money to be in the movie than Robert Downey Jr. is. Now,
what
he did, in the first movie, he got paid more money because he was a bigger actor at the time. Robert Downey Jr. had slid down quite a bit throughout the 90s. So when the first movie freaking exploded and everybody loved Robert Downey Jr., when it came time to renegotiate salaries for the second movie, they gave Robert Downey Jr. a lot more money and a bigger contract for multiple movies and all this stuff. And they gave him a bunch of money. And they were going to bring back Terence Howard at the same rate he got paid in the first one. And he said he would not do it unless they paid him more money than Robert Downey Jr.
Oh.
And Marvel went, okay, we'll get Don Cheadle. Like, they just cut him loose. Like, and apparently it was not nice. Apparently he was being like a little bitch about it or something. And so
if they would have paid him the same amount as Robert Downey Jr., he would still be making a hell of a lot of money, and he would have continued on to how many movies? 6, 7?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
If you couldn't see the light at that moment,
So he just kind of, they let him go. Kevin Feige cut him loose and was like, look, we're not going to pay you more money than Robert Downey Jr. We're building something here. By that time, we'd had the first Iron Man movie blew up. Even Incredible Hulk, which did not blow up the way Iron Man did, still did well and was helping build that universe. And, so they were just like, you know what? We're
and then they recast Edward Norton.
Yeah. And I don't remember what all the situation was behind the Edward Norton thing, but there might have been some similarities between that as well, as far as why he got replaced, because he was originally supposed to, he was going to be in the Avengers.
Yeah, he wanted it was a mix. He wanted a ton of money, and I think he wanted some creative aspect as well into it. And they're like, no, we're not now.
Yeah, we're like, it's okay. I'll be honest. I mean, hell, I've been reading the Hulk my entire life, right? And I'm not a fan of Mark Ruffalo, honestly. I just don't like him, really.
His acting's okay, but I just don't like his politics.
He's just
I don't even give a shit. I don't like him as an actor. Like, I like Edward Norton as an actor better. Like, I would have loved to have had him be our Hulk. Like, I would have been very happy with that, because I actually like him when he's Bruce Banner. I like Edward Norton's Bruce Banner in that movie better than anything Mark Ruffalo's done as Bruce Banner. Now, obviously, half of playing Bruce Banner Hulk is playing the Hulk, and that's all CGI and some actor getting his voice modulated to go Hulk smash and all that shit. So half of the half of the gig, it doesn't really matter who it is. Like, I love Hulk in the Avengers movies, right? Like, Hulk's fucking great. Bruce Banner, fine. I don't really care. I would have rather seen Edward Norton play it, but
he's like so meek that it like bothers me, and that's not Bruce Banner. He was humble, and like he was a good person, but he wasn't like so like neutered, and that's how I feel that Mark Ruffalo is in the whole series. He's neutered.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo. You don't think that he's ever going to get mad enough to actually become Hulk? He's just so sedated.
He looks too nice. Whereas with Edward Norton, there's always just in the back a little bit of that shaved head racist thing going on from back in. You know what I mean? Like, you can see him getting mad.
Yes, he looks like he could curb stomp somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And we've never seen Mark Ruffalo do that. But that actually kind of gets into what I was talking about earlier with some of the problems people have with She-Hulk and why I just think it's ridiculous. So the biggest issue I've heard on the She-Hulk front from the trailer is, oh, look, they're making She-Hulk more powerful than the original Hulk. Because, you know, they show them like throwing boulders and she can throw farther than him and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, here we go. Always got to make the new character or the girl or whatever. Like, it's got to be better than the original. I don't have a problem with that for one main reason. And that is because we are specifically dealing with Professor Hulk, which in the comics, there was a run where Bruce Banner had figured out a way to have the Hulk's body, but his mind. And back in the comics,
right? But that did neuter his power a little bit.
It neutered his power a lot. It made him a lot weaker of a Hulk. But he made up for it in the fact that he, maintained his brain and his personality and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, kept his intelligence.
And so that's clearly what they've been doing in these movies. He's not physically as big as he was when he was the rampaging Hulk, and he's not as strong. And so it would make sense that there might be other Hulk-like characters that would now be stronger than him because he no longer gets stronger based on his rage. Because the rage is just, it doesn't affect him anymore. So I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I watched the trailer, loved the trailer. It wasn't until people started complaining about it after the fact, and I was like, well, that he's Professor Hulk. Like, if she's stronger than him, that makes sense because he's the weakest version of the Hulk right now. Well, the Gray Hulk, I forget what his name was. Joe Fixit might have been weaker. I can't remember. Because he's gone through a few iterations in the comics.
The Hulk in the MCU wasn't as strong as the Hulk in the comics. Like, the Hulk in the comics could barely ever get defeated. Like, Tony Stark's big Iron Man suit would not be able to defeat the comic book Hulk at all.
Yeah.
So
and so there's a lot in that I don't get. To me, I don't get the complaint. Like, if it is in fact that She-Hulk is stronger than Hulk, because of whatever, I'm like, okay, and like they've already, again, we were talking about, they've already kind of neutered the character of Hulk in the MCU, and now they've neutered him as soon as they made him Professor Hulk. He's nowhere near as strong as he was, so it doesn't bother me that he's he's weaker than some other strong characters. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, at this point, Professor Hulk could have got his ass whooped by the Thing. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not a big deal. I don't understand what the complaints were. I liked the trailer. Thought the trailer looked really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Because probably the people complaining are the people that have never read a comic and are just going, it's woke because there's a female and she's strong.
I heard a theory.
No.
I want to change gears. I heard a theory on some X-Men and Fantastic Four stuff.
Oh, nice. Please go.
Who is the guy that they teased recently that's gonna be in the next Avengers? I'm not.
Which guy? Like Shang-Chi or
a bad guy?
Oh, Kang. You're talking about Kang.
Kang is a guy who can like make people disappear from the universe. Correct? He's
a time traveler.
Okay. Yeah,
and there are many versions of him.
Right.
Because he's traveled through time and changed history so many times that there's just tons of versions of him out there floating around in the multiverse. And so I mean, he's just a human being. He does wear a kind of a suit that makes him stronger and does some stuff. It's similar to kind of like an Iron Man suit, but his main power is the fact that he's he's a time traveler and has essentially built an empire in time and space, in that he's in the comics, he has this huge ship that he's just kind of over millennia of just being able to constantly travel through time. He was able to get technology to do all these cool things, and he's built up an army, and he's just a guy, but because the time travel things made him very powerful.
So the theory is that the X-Men, all mutants, and the Fantastic Four have been in the universe the whole time, but Kang erased them, and so that's why no one knows about them in our current universe. I mean, okay. So I like that theory because it allows them to somehow return to the universe, and we don't have to have origin stories on everyone.
Yeah. I will say
they also teased the mutants and Miss Marvel and in the Immortals, right?
Yeah. I will say, like, if you go with what was said at Comic-Con this year, where they were describing like this current phase that we're going into now, they're calling it the Multiverse Saga, which is going to heavily rely on Kang and the fact that not only the multiverse stuff we've already seen, but it's going to heavily rely a lot of like the Loki series, which kind of got the ball rolling as far as like, you know, there's a Kang out there, and he's, you know, there are multiple versions of him, and, you know, there are versions of him who are going through trying to conquer the universe and change time and do all this stuff and create alternate timelines and all this. And if we are truly going into like a multiverse saga, right? Like, it may be a situation where it's like, oh, well, by the end of it, because Kang's going to be kind of the big bad, kind of the Thanos of this new however many movies it is, which is probably gonna be like 8 movies, you know, like there's this arc where over the course of this arc, that's exactly right. People start to realize that he's been playing with time this whole time, that there are other heroes that they probably need to defeat him that were the first ones he went back and took out and made sure were erased from the timeline, you know, which for Fantastic Four, that would be the big one, because that's kind of like his main enemies is the Fantastic Four. They're the ones that have, you know, thwarted him the most, I would say, in the past. Avengers come a close second, but like that would make sense that Kang, if he was going to try and, you know, make chess moves throughout the timeline to try and set things up where eventually he would be victorious, which what he wants is to control the universe. Like, the first thing he would do is go back and take out the Fantastic Four. That's the very first thing he would fucking do. Because
Reed Richards is like game-changing smart.
Yeah. And also Kang is, I believe, a descendant of Reed Richards.
Correct.
So going to Fantastic Four for a second, do you think that we're going to get Doctor Doom in either Black Panther 2 or Ant-Man Quantumania?
Get what?
So, like, there's rumors that Doctor Doom is going to make an appearance in either Black Panther 2 or Ant-Man the Quantumania movie.
What I've heard is in Black Panther 2, in some way, shape, or form, Doctor Doom will be teased. Now, whether that will be full-blown, here's the guy and he's going to show up, or whether it's going to be just a reference to like Latveria, which is, you know, his country, or whether it's just going to be a reference
to the country.
Yeah, it might just be a reference to not even Doctor Doom, but Victor as you know, his regular name. You know, so, you know, to imply that like he's not Doctor Doom yet, but we know who Victor Von Doom is. So, like, you know, maybe it'll just be a reference to that, or maybe we'll get a full-blown cameo of that character, you know, before he.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might actually see like Thanos, like how he started out. I think in the first Avengers movie, they
at the very end
screened him. Yeah.
I think the most likely thing, simply because I don't know how far along they are in like casting and all that kind of stuff. The most likely thing, if they haven't cast the role yet, is we're just going to get references to Latveria and Victor Von Doom. And that's more than enough. But the one thing I'll say is we've got the Disney I'm blanking on the name of what it's called. Disney's, they've got basically their own version of kind of like Comic-Con, their own convention coming up in September. D23, I think it's D23. No, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, they have their own convention coming up, and there are rumors that at that convention they are going to do a cast announcement for Fantastic Four. So if that's true and the part is cast, then yeah, maybe he does actually show up in Black Panther. But I doubt we'll get a Doctor Doom. Well, at best, we'll get Victor Von Doom. We'll just get him just as his regular, because he's like the ruler of Latveria, so he's a big important person already. You know, I don't think we get a Doctor Doom reference, but I'm just getting him as a human. Yeah, I think we definitely get that. Okay, we got a super chat here. Okay, Diesel Mechanic says, new She-Hulk trailer today. Hulk threw a boulder into orbit during the rock tossing scene. Oh, really? There's a new trailer today? I didn't even see this. I didn't even hear about this. I didn't know shit. Okay. I haven't heard that. I haven't watched that. So, anyway. I'm not, yeah. Now I'm trying to look for it. I don't see it anywhere. I see the one from like a few weeks ago. I see a teaser, like a 31-second teaser. Is that what we're talking about today? Is there the new teaser that's come out? I haven't watched that one. So I see that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, he says it's a 30-second clip on Marvel Entertainment YouTube. Okay, so that popped up in my feed. I didn't watch it because I was like, oh, I bet it's just rehashed stuff. So, okay. Well, then there you go. He threw it into orbit. Cool.
But was he pissed off when he threw it into orbit? That's what we need to find out.
I don't know.
Because it doesn't seem like his power is tied into any rage or anything like that. And I don't think we're ever going to get Hulk back. Like, not dumb Hulk anyway. Like, strong Hulk.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the character. I mean, there are rumors. Now, here's the thing. If the rumors are true, and I think it would be an awesome, thing to do. I think it would make a lot of sense for the MCU, for Marvel to do this. There were rumors coming out that, are unconfirmed or anything, that they were going to end up doing putting Hulk in another movie. And what that movie was going to be was essentially Wolverine versus the Hulk. And the reason is because that's where Wolverine came from in the comic books. The first comic book he ever showed up in was Incredible Hulk. And he was basically what happened is Hulk like flipped out, became, at the time he was always just Mad Hulk, but he was like going through Canada, just like tearing shit up. And the Canadian government sent Wolverine after him because at this point, Wolverine was working with the Canadian government or one of the organizations in Canada. I don't remember what it is. But anyway, they send Wolverine after the Hulk. So Wolverine originally showed up in the comics as kind of like a foil to Hulk. And like, if you want to bring Wolverine into the movies, that's a great way to do it. Just do a Hulk versus Wolverine movie. But that would imply that at some point, Bruce Banner rages out again and becomes that version of the Hulk to the point that he's tearing it up.
So who would your casting be for Wolverine?
I like that, and he's been rumored for a while now, but I like the dude, I can't remember his name. He's the guy from Kingsman. The main guy from Kingsman.
Oh,
I can't remember his name. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I honestly, I don't mind that rumor that was kind of going around. I'm more curious, I should say, about the rumor that was going around for Daniel Radcliffe.
I mean, that would be...
Yeah, I've seen that one.
That'd be interesting. I don't think they're going to go that route.
I don't think they are either, but it would be very interesting.
I'd love to see it.
I want to see it out of interest, yeah.
I'd be very curious just to check it out and be like, what the fuck is this? But,
Daniel Radcliffe, like, strung out, kind of... That would be a good look for Wolverine.
The other guy that I liked, and look, none of these characters, honestly, are small. None of these actors are small enough to actually portray an accurate Wolverine, right? Like everybody we're talking about, like Wolverine in comics supposed to be 5'2". Like
Yeah, he's supposed
it's
to be
just
like
not going to
Magneto
happen.
size.
So
yeah,
that's just one of those things. And I think now that we've had Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for like 18 years, I think we're all okay with not having a 5'2" Wolverine. I know a lot of people were pissed off when that first X-Men movie came out, but people got over it really quick because Hugh Jackman did a great job. So my other choice, who's a little bit taller, because I think the guy that plays in Kingsman, I think he's fairly short. I'm 6'1", so I would consider him short because I think he's like maybe 5'8" at best. But the other guy's a little bit taller, and that's I'm blanking on the actor's name, but Jax from Sons of Anarchy. Like if they wanted to go with a little bit older of a Wolverine and not as young as the other dude, which I'm fine with either way. Like I could totally see that dude playing Wolverine, especially if you watch The Gentleman and watch him in The Gentleman.
You said they're probably not going to put anybody too old in any of these movies because they're going to want to do movies over a course of like a decade, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to want to put like a 50 or 60-year-old playing Wolverine.
Yeah. I'd say they max out at like 40, which I think is about around the age that dude is who played Jax. Yeah, the other guy from Kingsman, he's probably 30, around there. Thank you, Sam Eric. He says Charlie Hunnam. Yeah, that's his name, Charlie Hunnam. So I think either one of them would do a good job, depending on what angle they wanted to take on the character, whether they wanted something, because the one guy obviously looks a lot younger. Like I think he's like around 30, but that dude could easily play like early 20s. Like he still looks fairly young. Charlie Hunnam looks like he's in his 30s. I think he's like 40, but he looks like he's in his mid 30s, maybe even early 30s. So he could still pull that off. So I think either one of them could pull it off. But I like to see them. Now I will say for looks, if we're just going on looks and not acting ability, okay, because this guy has only been in a handful of things, and none of which I've seen, because they're all like lower budget things. But if you've ever seen a picture, and I forget his name, but a picture of Mel Gibson's son, who's now in his 30s, this fucker looks like Wolverine. Like he legit. I'll look it up. I'll look it up here for a second. But like this dude, Milo Gibson, that's what it is.
Well, he would be Australian, so just like Hugh Jackman, right?
Yeah, exactly. But here, look, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. Like this dude legitimately.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Like this is just him. This is just a picture of him they put next to Wolverine, and then of course there's like this is just a picture of him. Like look at that dude. I don't know if he can act. I have no idea. I don't know if he can act for shit. Oh, Corey in chat says Milo Gibson was in Hacksaw Ridge. Was he? I love that movie. I don't remember this dude in Hacksaw Ridge. Okay, cool. I had to go back and watch it. I just probably didn't know who the hell he was at the time. But like this dude looks like Wolverine. I don't know how well he can act, but like on looks alone, like if you're just like, let's just get somebody that looks like Wolverine, I'd be like, oh, well, get this dude. Because and apparently he's also short. So apparently he's like even shorter than his dad. And his dad, I don't think, is only like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". And he's like supposed to be even shorter. So, I think this works. But again, I don't have, I don't know if he's been in some stuff. I didn't.
Now, is there still a stigma? But is there still a stigma between like him and his dad, Mel Gibson, like being anti-Semitic or whatever, or is that completely done?
We're on the other side of that whole Mel Gibson thing. That was what, early 2000s.
Yeah,
it's been almost 20 years, and I think while there is still a lot of us who remember that, there are very few people I think that actually still give a shit about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like maybe we should give more of a shit than we do, but I honestly don't care.
Well, I mean, he was a cop, right? So
yeah, I mean, he's been out there doing stuff. Like he's getting offers to direct big time movies. Like at one point, I can't remember what movie it was, but wasn't it? I think it might have been Suicide Squad. Wasn't he originally? He was one of the people that was up that might have been offered the director of Suicide Squad at one point, and like like he's still like he's not acting as much anymore. Although that Santa Claus movie was fucking great. That
And
one he
the
did last
movie
year.
Dragged Through Concrete was pretty good too. If y'all seen that one,
I haven't seen that one.
yeah, that was pretty good. That was like maybe 4 or 5 years old by now.
Yeah.
But
So Mel Gibson's still doing a lot of stuff behind the camera. He's still producing. He's still directing. He's like, there's still a lot of stuff that he's doing, and he's doing very well. He's a very good director. And I think in Hollywood, he's like, despite what happened 20 years ago, like he's still getting, he's still getting good roles as far as, getting good movies as director. So, I think people kind of forgot about it. I'd love to see an MCU movie directed by Mel Gibson. Didn't he do Hacksaw Ridge? Like he did Hacksaw Ridge. He directed Hacksaw Ridge.
Did he?
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he
Okay.
directed Hacksaw. He won. Didn't he win something for that? I don't know. Maybe he did.
Maybe.
But yeah, so
That would be
like,
interesting to see a Mel Gibson Marvel movie.
yeah, I'd be down. So I don't know, man, but yeah, it's.
I could actually see him playing Doctor Doom. He's probably a little too old now, but he would have made a good Doctor Doom, I think.
It just basically all depends on what age they're going to set the Fantastic Four at. And if Duke is right, and it really is like a Kang went through the universe and erased them, and we don't have to start at the beginning and explain these characters and why they've been, and why we haven't seen them. So therefore we got to pretend like they just showed up, in which case you would go obviously with younger actors and stuff. But let's say they do the whole, time thing and Kang went back and then we just bring him back. And it's like, oh, by the way, they've been here the whole time. Kang just erased them from the timeline. Then you can have basically anybody play those roles. Like you can just be like literally, like that was the one complaint about John Krasinski, right? Like everybody wants him. I would love to see him as Reed Richards. And I think he did good in the cameo
that was perfect.
in Doctor Strange. But the one complaint was, well, how are they going to do him in a movie? Because he's in his early 40s at this point. Like, yeah, he would make a great Fantastic Four, but like we need a younger Fantastic Four because we need to explain why they haven't been around. So it's got to be that they just turned into it. But if you're right, Duke, and he just erased him from the timeline, then all bets are off. You can bring John Krasinski in as Reed Richards.
And that's where we need to be at. We don't have, like, I don't want to sit around for 5 or 6 years to get like origin stories on everyone. I want to get into the story. Let's get going. Now, you want to go back and tell stories like the Thing, like the origin of the Thing. That's cool. Like that's fine. But like, let's get this going. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what people want.
I mean,
and I think it's the way to do it. The theory, that's the theory I have.
And, well, I'll be honest too. Like, it would be a really smart move because, first of all the fans wanted John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Second, like John Krasinski is just one of those people in Hollywood that just is really, really well liked.
Loved, yes.
And he would just having him star in a Marvel movie would guarantee its success, I think.
Yeah.
And
that's what you need for the Fantastic Four. You have to have him because he's so loved that it would be hard pressed for it to fail.
I just thought what would blow the internet's mind if they cast this person as Doctor Doom.
Oh, Dwight?
Yeah.
Yeah. And with makeup and CGI, they can make him look younger too. I mean, they made Mark Hamill look like young Mark Hamill in yeah.
Well, I will say there was a lot of speculation about John Krasinski playing Reed Richards because of the fact that even after the Doctor Strange movie came out, right? Like even to this day, right? We're 3 months out, 3 months out from that movie releasing, and everybody knows all the cameos in that movie, like the Illuminati and everybody that showed up, fucking Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Everybody knows that Reed Richards was in that fucking movie. Everybody knows it. And yet every piece of marketing or promotional material for Marvel, which you know how they do, they bring stuff in from past movies to market newer stuff and all that kind of stuff. They have featured in marketing and promotional materials every other single member of the Illuminati and every other cameo in that movie except for Reed Richards. That is the only one they have not fucking touched. He has not been mentioned. Marvel Studios has not talked about him. They've said jack shit about him being in that movie. Why would they be doing that unless they've got bigger plans for him?
Well, and he got interviewed on some late night show, and he said, like, I cannot say either way.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Like, that means yes.
I hope so. I'm down for it, man. Like, seriously, I'm down for
He's
John
the right
Krasinski.
age. They could use him as Reed Richard for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
He's
still younger than fucking Robert Downey Jr. was when he started playing Iron Man.
And he was like considerably older than he was a little bit older than Iron Man. And we have Iron Man, like we had Iron Man for years, so plenty of time.
Well, it depends on when they're actually going to put the Fantastic Four together. Like, is it going to be when they first met, or is it going to be like 20 years into the future?
Well, and that's what we're saying. Like, with the whole Kang thing, if they just go that route, where, you know, hey, the reason that nobody's heard of the Fantastic Four is because Kang went through the timeline and erased them, because that's his biggest enemy. Like, and then they fix the timeline, and then there's the Fantastic Four again. It's like, oh yeah, like they don't have to do a whole origin story. They don't have to get young actors. They don't have to do anything. So
I don't want young actors. I want established. These are characters that weren't young when they got their powers. So like this needs to be just, hey, they've been the Fantastic Four for years, and we just forgot about them because they removed them from the current timeline. And then,
I think that's a great
you could go back and tell Johnny Blaze or Johnny whatever. What's it, Johnny Storm?
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm. Yeah.
I want Johnny Blaze too. That's Ghost Rider. I'm down with that.
Yeah. Daryl's that right?
I would completely buy him as Johnny Blaze. Yes.
No, we need to get Captain America back as the Living Torch.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
that was a rumor that he was going to do a cameo as Human Torch in that movie in Multiverse of Madness, which would have been hilarious, by the way. Okay, let me over in the Geek Fusion side of the chat. Netflutter says, "Do you read this chat or just the other channel?" I am reading. I promise. We've just been talking a lot today, and I really haven't addressed the audience. I'm sorry. I apologize. Just other than I saw the super chat come in, and I always try to make sure I get super chats, but I apologize. Yes, no, I'm reading. I've got both chats open. I can see the NEA chat, and I can see the Geek Fusion chat. So I can see both of them. But yes, I see you, Netflutter. I promise. I see you. You're there. I acknowledge your existence. I'm sorry. I don't want you to feel like I ignored you. But we just kind of been on a roll talking. So, but anyway. But yeah. So, you know, a lot of cool Marvel stuff.
So
Andor looks cool. Like,
speaking of last minute Marvel stuff, so we all saw the end of the She-Hulk trailer, who shows up and everything.
Yes.
Have you heard the rumor that obviously they're going to be rebooting that character, that they've, I think, basically confirmed that Frank Castle is coming back, or John Bernthal is coming back? Yep.
Yes, I have heard this. In what capacity, we don't know.
Yeah.
Is it a movie? Is it a show? Is he just going to make cameos in other people's stuff? I think the most likely scenario is we already know we're getting 18 episodes of a Daredevil show in what, 2023?
I think so.
Like end of 2023. We already know that. They confirmed it at Comic-Con. Like this is they said this. I think the most likely scenario is you bring him back in that.
Yep.
And then go from there.
I agree.
And then
so
I think there's a good chance.
Is that not the greatest rendition that we've gotten of everything? I mean, that's
Bernthal is the best guy for that.
No, I mean like that is just the best Marvel.
Well, yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah, Daredevil and Punisher were fantastic. Like they were just ridiculously good shows. I mean, I think in general the Netflix stuff was 50-50 because there was a lot of problems with Luke Cage, with Iron Fist, and with Jessica Jones. They all had really, really bad seasons and some good seasons, whereas Daredevil and Punisher, like Daredevil had 3 amazing seasons, Punisher had 2 amazing seasons. There was no bad there. So those 2 were the standouts from that Netflix stuff by far. And which is why they're the 2 that are getting talked about as far as coming back. This is why you're not hearing rumors about Iron Fist or Luke Cage or anything. Now, maybe at some point, sure. I mean, they brought back it. Granted, it was only a little cameo in Multiverse of Madness, but they brought back what's his face is Black Bolt, and the only reason he got that role is because they did a horrible. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. A horrible Inhumans television show on ABC like 6 years ago, and it was god awful. And he played Black Bolt in that, to the point it was so bad they actually never aired it. Like, you had to go, I forget which streaming service you had to go to watch it. Like, they never put it on television.
I remember hearing about that.
I've watched it. It's bad. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, I like him as an actor. I think he's great. And I think he was a great Black Bolt. The show was shit. It was just horrible. Hands down. Like if you don't want your image of the Inhumans jacked up, and just don't ever watch this crap. Like, I think he was a great choice for Black Bolt, and I liked him in Multiverse of Madness. His name's Anson Mount. I remember his name. Don't watch that show. It'll ruin some shit for you. It's fucking horrible. So, but yeah, that was a thing. So, and I should never have watched it, but I did. Don't.
You watched it, so the rest of us didn't have to.
Yeah. And I think I talked about it on one of the Geek shows back in the day when I watched it, and I was just like, oh. But
tough one for the team.
Yeah, it was not good at all. Like, don't just pretend it just never happened. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for all the Marvel stuff. I always am, through all the shit. So,
now to go into one other, not Marvel but comic book kind of thing, what do you think the future is for the DC verse?
Well, okay, so like they came in, right, and I forget that guy's name, Zark, whatever his name is, the new head of Warner Brothers, right? Came in. Big controversy was Batgirl, whatever the fuck the name of that movie was, right? Like, got horrible fucking reviews. It's not reviews, I guess, but horrible feedback on their pre-screenings and things. The movie was mostly done. It was 90% done. The film was shot. They had already invested somewhere between $70 and $90 million in this thing. There was still some post-production work that needed to be done. And then, of course, marketing and all this other stuff. And he came in and was like, shut it down. This is a horrible movie. It will never see the light of day. We're not going to finish the post-production stuff. We're not going to market it. We're not even going to put it on HBO Plus. It's done. And the reasoning behind that, according to DC and Warner Brothers, was like, look, they came out, they got this new guy that is supposed to be, an actual leader. Like, apparently WB has not been in really good hands, and they've just been putting out shit after shit after shit. Not just DC stuff, but apparently they've had a lot of issues. I haven't really paid attention to WB specific productions and that kind of thing, as far as what's been good and what's been bad. I mean, I know the DC stuff, but and apparently this guy came forward and said, look, we're going to make DC one of our priorities, and we will not put out anything that does not help this brand. We will not put out anything that is going to hurt DC. I think, they even came out and said, we have Superman. Like,
right.
We can't like the fact that that Superman is just not at the center of everything and isn't wildly popular speaks to the way that the company was being run before then.
And they have a really good Superman. They have Henry Cavill, which is like,
I love Henry Cavill. I mean, I think he's great. So Anyway, he came out and he said, Batgirl is done. Like, don't care how much money we have invested in it. We're going to we will not only take a huge loss monetarily if we try to release this thing, because we got to finish it first, but the reputation of DC movies will take a loss, and we're not doing that anymore. And then the other one was Supergirl, which she apparently premieres in the Flash movie, and they came out and said, like, yeah, it's still in, like, barely in pre-production or whatever. We're not doing it. Boom, done. We've seen it. We don't think it lives up to the standards that we want to do with DC, so it's gone.
So was it the same Supergirl from the Supergirl show?
No. This was one that's going to show up in the Flash movie. They did, however, come out and say they are definitely going forward with the Flash movie. The movie is done. People who have seen the movie have said it's fantastic, that it is absolutely a great DC movie, that it is a great Flash movie. This is despite the fact that apparently Ezra Miller is fucking insane. So, and just, I don't even know what they're going to do with him, but I think, honestly, they're just going to, like, ignore him. And they're not going to mention anything about all this controversy. But I guarantee you that he will never be the Flash again in a movie. Period. It will never, ever happen again. He's never going to be Flash. That movie that's going to come out was his last opportunity to be the Flash, and that's it. He will be in this movie. They will release this movie because it's, they're saying, people who've seen the movie in Hollywood are like, this is actually legitimately a really good movie. It's done really well. It benefits the DC brand. Like, it opens all these new doors for future things to do with DC. They're keeping it. And then the minute this movie comes out, makes a bunch of money, we'll just quietly hear that at some point they announce that Ezra Miller is being replaced as the Flash.
Well, that and Amber Heard too, eventually, right?
Yeah, she's already gone. They already did replace her. That was already put out there.
Well, she's going to be an Aquaman too, right?
I don't know yet. There were rumors that they were going to, at the very least, cut out a lot of her scenes.
Right. She's like going to have 2 minutes of screen time.
Yeah. So there were also rumors that they were going to replace her and refilm scenes. I don't know if that's true. That would be a pretty big investment.
But it'd be worth it, because you know what? No one wants to look at her.
Yeah, nobody does.
No one wants to see her. And that, regardless of however you feel on that trial, like, it's just people don't want to see that.
They should replace her with a cross-dressing Johnny Depp.
I mean, it would be. I would enjoy that more.
Just to make it ironic.
I would actually be more excited about seeing this movie if that happened. But yeah. So Flash is a go. They've already publicly announced Flash is a go. Everything else getting shut down, and they announced they have a 10-year plan that they are currently putting together, essentially what Kevin Feige's got at Marvel, which they haven't had before. This will be the first time that they've actually separated DC movies into their own division, just like Disney has with, the MCU, and they're going to put a head of DC movies in place, which, again, the way Warner Brothers has been running things, they haven't had that. So it's just been whoever's running Warner Brothers Studio is in charge of everything at Warner Brothers, including DC. Now DC has become officially, and these are all announcements. Warner Brothers did a whole thing a week ago, maybe. I think it was the beginning of the week on Monday or something like that. They did a whole press conference and did some stuff, not press conference, but they did some announcements, and that was one of the things. DC is now its own division of Warner Brothers. They are putting together a Kevin Feige-esque kind of leader to lead it, plus a team that's going to help whoever that person ends up being. They have a 10-year plan for DC, and they will no longer allow subpar movies to go out. They will not allow anything to taint the brand of DC. I'm very happy about this. I think this is fucking great. I mean, I grew up on Superman. I love Marvel, and if I got to pick a comic book company and characters, I always default to Marvel just because I like their stuff better. But nothing would make me happier than to have a bunch of good DC movies, like really good Superman, Aquaman, fucking Flash, whatever the fuck, Justice League movies. Nothing would make me happier.
They also have the option of going darker than like Marvel. Like they can make R-rated movies, hell, even X-rated movies if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Like they can really deep dive into, past Logan, past Deadpool, make it really gory. Suicide Squad like 24/7 if they wanted to. Make it geared towards adults.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters. I mean, they've got Deathstroke, they've got Lobo, great fucking character. I don't know if anybody remembers Lobo from back in the day.
Do you think Negan's gonna actually play Lobo?
I don't know. I mean,
I
hadn't heard that one.
That was a rumor going on like 5 or 6 years ago that they were actually going to bring that guy in. I forget his name, but
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah.
Yes.
You could also call him Daddy.
Right.
Daddy Morgan. Daddy Jeff.
I mean, he's already in DC. He was Bruce Wayne's dad.
Yeah. I'd rather see him come back like as Bruce Wayne's dad, because
the alternate universe where Bruce was killed and his dad became Batman.
Yeah, that's the Flashpoint universe, which is what this movie is supposed to be. The Flashpoint
that's what I want to see.
I would love to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan be Batman. Yeah.
Well, in reality, he can do both because it's going to be CG and makeup for Lobo.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Lobo here, I just had him on my desk randomly.
Yeah, I got that pop too. He's got the submachine gun and the cigar in his mouth.
This isn't the pop. This is the DC Multiverse.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, he was just sitting on my desk because I just took him. All right, super chat here from Steve D. Martin says weak and feeble compared to Marvel. DC right now is weak and feeble compared to Marvel, 100%. So, yeah, that they are. But I think that's what they're trying to fix. So,
well, sad that it took them this long to figure it out, though.
Right, they already have.
You didn't figure out the Marvel formula,
Right, they have the winning recipe right there,
right
ready
in front
for
of
them
for
to
the
do it.
past over a decade.
Yep.
Out in the chat, Corey Long says they did that with in the Army of Dead. They replaced the chopper pilot with that chick Tig. They did? That was like supposed to be a different person?
They did, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because it was in that movie, the chopper pilot was supposed to be placed by a comedian who got in some sort of trouble, so they refilmed all his scenes with that chick instead.
Okay. Wait, now that you're saying that, I do vaguely remember that, but I don't remember who it was. But that had not come out like a year before.
Yeah, I want to say it was like
did.
Chris D'Elia or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That
does sound familiar now that you're saying it.
Speaking of which, when are we getting another movie in that series? Because we got the Thieves one, but like
I still haven't watched that Army of Thieves. Still haven't watched it.
It's good. I mean, it's not like there's no zombies or anything in it really. So it's very briefly it mentions them, but like.
Well, it'll still probably take a couple of years, right? Because it came out in 2020.
Well, it depends on what all they're doing. So yeah, I mean, it takes a while to make the movie, but yeah, I want the alien zombie thing, whatever they're going to lead to in that series. I'm looking forward to it. Out in the chat, Collector Express says Jason Momoa should have been Lobo instead of Aquaman. I agree. I think he would have made a way better Lobo than Aquaman. I like him as Aquaman. Don't get me wrong. I actually like the first Aquaman movie. I like him in the Zack Snyder version of the Justice League. Like, I like him as Aquaman, but like he would have done better as Lobo. Like, he would have been even better if they let him. He already looks like fucking Lobo. Like, he looks like the character. So
now, can he be an asshole like Lobo is, though?
Yes.
Like, can he play an asshole?
Yes. I mean, he's played a dude who like raped chicks and shit and murdered people. So, like,
he poured gold on a guy's head.
Yeah,
it was his crown.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a great scene, by the way.
That was a great scene.
That, and I rewatched the part where it's a small quote, but it's one of those times where Joffrey was just having like a moment of being Joffrey, and he's like, "I am the king," and his grandpa says, like, "The man who says he is the king is not the king. Like, you don't have to say you're the king to be the king.
Yeah.
If you have to remind everyone that you're the king, like, you're doing this wrong." So
yeah, one of my favorite parts of that was when Tyrion backhanded him.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
that was cool.
now you're the king, huh?
Yeah.
I like when Tyrion walks in. He's yelling at whatever the guard is or whatever. He's like, no, that's not a threat. This is a threat. See the difference?
Yeah.
When does the new show start? I forget.
Oh,
It's
like next month.
Is it next month? Okay, good. Because I saw a bunch of reviews coming out of people who watched the first episode, because apparently they had done Warner Brothers, who owns HBO, had done some sort of screening at some convention, and I don't know what it was. I can't remember. This was like 2 weeks ago, and they showed the audience, which included a bunch of it was regular people, and it was critics and stuff, and they showed them the first episode, and everybody came out of that going, "This shit's good." Like, the first episode is apparently really, really good. And like I said, I was already excited about this show. I was a huge Game of Thrones fans. I was a huge Game of Fans Thrown. So I already really dug it.
So is this going to be based off of George R. R. Martin's book series, The Duncan and the Egg? I think it's what it's called.
I don't know what the series is specifically. This is not based off of any specific book, but what it is they, and because George R. R. Martin is a part of this, is they're taking things that are established canon in Game of Thrones, things that have been mentioned, things that have been talked about in other books. This is a specific period of time that I don't think he's ever done a specific book on, but the events of this are well established in Game of Thrones canon, and they've decided to do a show about this with George R. R. Martin's blessing and permission. And he's I'm sure he's in name only a producer or something like that, but he's involved in it to some level. So it is supposed to be official, shit that was created by George R. R. Martin, but not necessarily from any particular book, although it pulls from things from his books, if that makes sense. So
yeah, that dude's never gonna finish Winds of Winter.
Apparently
he's gonna
die. It still ain't come out. It's just, why not? Now he's fucking rich. He probably already had money from the book series, but now after the HBO thing, he's got tons of money. He's like, I'll do it when I'm ready.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Nefletter over in Geek Fusion says, what do you think the real reason for Batgirl being scrapped is? So all I've heard officially was that the movie was not good. It did not go over well with people who had gotten to screen the movie. People rated it really, really bad, to the point people were saying it's just unwatchable. And it was viewed also by the new people that have taken over Warner Brothers. They watched it and said it just does not fit with the brand that we want DC to be going forward. It is not up to the quality.
I also heard it was really woke.
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know what that means. That's the official thing going forward, is that it just wasn't up to the quality. That is the official statement of why it got canceled. Now we can all speculate as to what the real reason is. I don't know. There was speculation that it was just it was too political, that there was a lot of political stuff in there, and it, I don't know. Obviously we're never gonna fucking see it, so because they just shut it down. They're scrapping it, and essentially they're never allowed. They're basically never allowed to release it anywhere, because they're going to take it as a tax write-off. They've already announced they're going to take it as a tax write-off, which means they can never, ever, ever make money off of it, which means they can't ever put it anywhere for streaming, because even if you don't get paid directly for something you put on streaming, the fact that people subscribe to a streaming service means in some way, shape, or form you're making money off this thing. They can never release it in a movie theater. They can never put it on TV. They can never do anything with it if they want to get this tax write-off on the movie to make as much of their money back as they can out of what they spent on it. So we may never know exactly what was subpar and what the quality issues were. Was it political stuff? Was it just a fucking horrible movie? Don't know, and we will probably never know unless somebody leaks something about it, which may happen. So, so who knows? I mean, if it leaks, it leaks, and then of course, if it leaks, it'll be on freaking F movies and everywhere else where you'll be able to watch the damn thing. I'm sure, but although I guess it doesn't really matter, but if it leaks, if there's some cut of the movie that ends up leaking, then that might get out. But as far as them officially putting it anywhere or doing anything with it, since basically anything they would be able to do with it would officially count as it generating some level of revenue, they're not going to be able to do that. So, we'll see. Maybe somebody will steal the movie and leak it online somewhere. I don't know, but for now, I don't think we're gonna see it anywhere. Super chat from GA Pompous says 1 episode into Sandman on Netflix. I am 6 episodes into Sandman on Netflix. I'm on episode 6. I just started 6, so I'm 5 episodes in. Let's call it that. I'm halfway through. Show's really good. I'm really loving it. Really digging the show. For those that don't know what Sandman is, essentially it's DC Comics adjacent. DC Comics in the 90s started this kind of more adult, not adult as in like porn, but like adult as in cussing and some nudity and things like that, more violence, this kind of offshoot of their brand, and started this brand called Vertigo Comics. And at this point now it's all part of the DC universe, but at first it kind of started as kind of like not really the same DC universe, and I guess still it's kind of almost like a multiverse thing. But anyway, Sandman was like the first character to come out of that. And he is essentially the king of the dream world and the king of dreams and nightmares. It's this very kind of fantasy kind of show. I mean, think of it like, okay, if you like stuff like Constantine, Supernatural, stuff like that, you'll like this show. Again, I'm 5 episodes in. It's been really good so far. I'm looking forward to binging the other 5 episodes this weekend because it's been really good. So,
does Spawn tie into him?
Spawn, no. Spawn is Image Comics. This is a different comic company.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but so far, Sandman's been really good. I'm digging it. I'm liking it. It's like a dark fantasy show with like, some gods and, some angels and some demons and shit. And it all revolves around this one character. So he's not a god. I mean, I guess he is in the dream world, but he's very powerful. But like, for instance, Lucifer's in the show. And he's not anywhere near as powerful as Lucifer is. So stuff like that. So, but yeah. So anyway, there you go. But let's see. All right. So we've got about 15 minutes left of the show this evening. So let's go ahead and check the chat here. Demon Gemini says, I'm still mad at DC for canceling the Constantine and Swamp Thing series. I am upset about I liked the Constantine series. Swamp Thing, I never watched, so I don't know if that was any good or not. I have no frame of reference there. Sam of Anarchy in the chat says, John Bernthal as Cole Walker in Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon's Wildlands as an ally and then returned as one of the main bad guys in Ghost Recon Breakpoint was as good as Frank Castle too. Never played Ghost Recon. It's not a series I really ever got into. So I can't really like say.
I think I played the one where they were in Colombia and they were fighting the cartels there. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I never. I think I might have tried to play one of them at one point, and I don't know. There was something about the whole like. I don't like the games where you have to sneak around.
Nope.
Where instead of like
not even close,
action, like you're sneaking around, and Ghost Recon is.
Matt likes just running full blown in, guns blazing.
Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, Leroy Jenkins all the way.
Well, with Ghost Recon, you can go full blaze. Like there is sneaking, but you don't have to do it 100% of the time. You play as you want to play.
And
what year did that come out?
I didn't get into it that much, so that's
What year was Leroy Jenkins?
I was early 2000s. Well,
yeah,
no.
early.
When did World of Warcraft come out? It was early on in World of Warcraft. Not Warcraft from the 90s, but like the when was the actually? It was mid 2000s, right? When mid to late 2000s when World of Warcraft came out.
I think it was like 2003 or 2004. I think I was still in high school when it came out.
Because Warcraft, the original Warcraft series, which was turn-based strategy, had already come out with like 1, 2, and 3 before World of Warcraft. So I feel like it was mid. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was probably mid 2000s. I'm guessing.
Speaking of Warcraft, because I missed out on the chat last night when you were and Duke were having your little geek moment. Yes. Did you see that there's a new? I don't know why I said Warcraft, but I was just it tied in to this whole aspect of it. Did you see that there's a new Warhammer game coming out that's like a first-person shooter? It's like a squad team game.
The Space Marine one?
Yeah. No, not the Space Marine. You play as a Astartes. Not Astartes, okay. Astra Militarum.
The Imperial Guard. Which, first of all, the reason why they changed all the names and they changed all the paints was because they changed all the names to a lot of the characters is because they couldn't copyright things like orcs and dwarves and Imperial Guard. So that's why they changed it to those so they could copyright it, which that's a whole other story. Well, I have a problem. Games Workshop is they're pretty horrible for a company. They're talking about yearly price increases for pewter and plastic, but anyways, I digress.
But there is
I'm deeply offended by this.
Yeah,
it's a very horrible company. They go after YouTubers and content creators that create anything that they own, and it's all fan based, and they're horrible. They're pretty. I mean, from my understanding, from what I understand here, is that they're kind of a garbage company. And when I was huge into it. How are there? I understand production costs. I understand things cost more money, but there would be like a yearly hike on miniatures. And just to give you a reference, like 8 Space Marines cost like $60 now. Like and they're not metal. They're plastic, and it's like
you got to paint them yourself.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's excessive.
Matt, literally, so there's a comic book shop. I sent Duke like a photo of this. There's a comic book shop near me I found, and they sell like, it's really cool because in the front it's all like comics and stuff like that and shit you can buy and like graphic novels. And in the back, they have the whole back half of the store with different tables set up for that people that play like Warhammer 40K or they play, whatever, Dungeons and Dragons or whatever the fuck. Like, and there's literally like I rounded the corner and there's a bunch of just people playing these games and shit. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but they were selling like all the Warhammer 40K like armies. Like they had like one like a Necron army, and they're like the new Necron army. Like the army itself for like a starter army is hundreds of dollars.
Now, see, how can somebody afford to like? Wouldn't you want people to get into your shit? Like, shouldn't you be like elitist. Providing? Okay. I mean, I would be like, if I was doing something like that, I would definitely have like entry level, and stuff that's obviously not as good or as nice or whatever or as cool as the stuff that after people get into it and want to spend more money on it can get.
But
like anything, like you
would.
Yeah, you would want to have like some entry level stuff that somebody can like just maybe total drop $100 to get in the door on this shit.
That used to be how it was. They used to starter sets for the games used to be around $100. You'd get enough to build 2 small skirmish armies. You'd have like a couple Space Marines and some some sniper guys or big gun guys, and then you'd have like xenomorphs with like a couple crazy looking aliens, and that was kind of enough. But it's really gotten out of hand. I used to be more into that than guns, and obviously switched kind of the way it went. And I was big. I went to painting contests. I went to tournaments. I was very big into that. So but it got so exhausting to a point where when you want to play something else and then you got to try and get into it, and it's an expensive hobby. But I mean, it is what it is.
But to go back to my original point, there is a new game coming out that's coming out on Xbox and PC. I don't know if it's cross-platform yet, but you play as like a squad and you get to select your character and do like character customization, kind of like Left 4 Dead looking, but it's set in that universe. looks pretty neat. I think
because they did that one, and I don't know how it relates, but it was called Warhammer Verminator or something like that.
Yeah, or Vermintide, I think.
Vermintide, sorry, and Verminator.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know what that was because it was like a fantasy game. You got like swords and bows and arrows and stuff. So I don't know how that tied into Warhammer per se, because I don't know enough about Warhammer to know.
So there's Warhammer, and then there's Warhammer 40K.
Okay, are they related at all?
Yeah, it's the same. Well, okay, so no, Warhammer is gone, but Warhammer was old school fantasy: orcs, dwarves, swords, horses, chariots. It's in the medieval times. Warhammer 40K was 40,000 years later in the dark future, where it was planetary based. There was, instead of elves, it was Eldar.
Gotcha. So they are related. So because I never understood that, because I remember seeing that game and thinking it was very, like, we even talked about it. I was like, it's like Left 4 Dead, but with like old school weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is the same concept, but it's now set in the 40K universe. So you get like gravity hammers and like las guns, and
that's cool. Well, when is this coming out? We got to check this shit out.
I think September 13th. I think it's called Warhammer 40K Darkside or something.
Nice. I'm down. If it's Left 4 Dead-ish at all, I mean, I think it's something we should get. We should do some streams playing this game. I'm liking this idea already.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead wasn't bad.
All right, let's see. We got a super chat here from Steve D. Martin says, just purchased the Walther Q5 match. Thoughts? It's a nice gun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're really nice. I mean, we don't get, I mean, this isn't the gun chat, but I will say it's a really nice gun. It really is. I could not afford one. I mean, I guess I certainly can't afford one now, but I mean, even when I had money, but I could have, but they're just so expensive for the night, because they've got two versions of it, if I remember correctly, but the nicest version is pricey, but they're nice guns. Let's see. What else have we mentioned? Oh, people were asking in the chat about Prey, and I have failed you people.
Oh, fucking good.
I have failed you people because me and my wife put it on last night, and we started watching it, and we got like halfway through it, and I fell asleep. And then we were going to finish watching it, but like my wife had stuff to do today, and she told me like that she wants to watch it with me. So I couldn't finish the movie before the chat started today to give you guys my opinion on it. I will, however, say the first half that I saw was really good. I have not finished the movie.
It is a slow burn to get started, but once like the Predator shows up pretty early in the movie, but like you don't really realize it as much. Like he doesn't play an impact as much in the beginning, but once he shows up and actually starts playing an impact, it just like cranks the dial up and gets. I mean, I'm
still in the build-up part of the movie, and it's good. Like I'm enjoying the movie. Like it's well done.
I like that actress. Yeah.
The worst part of it is the CGI animals, and that's still not that bad.
Yeah, like she's phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so far halfway through the movie, I'm really digging it. On Monday night when we do our free for all chat, I'll have finished it by then, and we'll talk about it some more. But so far, first half is great. So, I'm really digging it.
Duke, have you seen it yet?
I watched the first couple of minutes and fell asleep. So.
See,
dude, go
that's
back.
More surprising for me than it is you, but at least I made it through half the movie.
I get it, but like,
I was tired.
Go back and rewatch it. All I will say is, it's not really giving spoilers away because you see it in the preview, but the trapper scene, like.
Yeah, and also it does tie back into Predator 2 if you watch all the way at the end.
Okay, cool.
Pay attention towards the end. It ties into Predator 2.
I'm hoping that I get to finish. I'm hoping I get to finish it tonight. So, but if not, I'll finish it definitely before Monday. But I'm doing that, and I'm also watching Sandman. So I've got both to finish. But the movie will be obviously easier. So as soon as me and my wife can like coordinate a time to sit down and finish watching the movie, we will do that. Because again, first half of the movie was great. Really liked it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it because I've heard good things. Like it's getting really good reviews.
I really hope it spins off into more movies like this, because if this is like, I've enjoyed every Predator outside of Predator versus Alien. Like I will not go back and rewatch that film. But even like the last Predator movie that came out, that I will admit is a shit movie. Like it is bad. It is
the last Predator movie was bad. It was almost unwatchable.
I will still go back and watch it just from the standpoint of I'm like, it's a stupid action movie that's just really dumb. Like, you know, I can find some sort of a redeeming quality somewhat in it, but like this one is, it may be. I've watched it now twice. I think it's definitely my second. I don't think it's my first favorite. I think the original is always going to be my first favorite, but like, it's close.
Yeah, I'd go with 1, 2, and then this one.
Yeah, two's an honorable contender. I haven't watched 2 in a while, so I'd have to go back and rewatch it. To be fair,
I love 2.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
I loved Glover being like, "Old man, I'm too old for this shit," while he's fighting Predator.
Yeah.
There's just like, and that's one of the things I've liked about the Predator movies is they just feel. Each movie feels different. Like there's a common theme running through them. But like Predator 1 is this like 80s action jungle Schwarzenegger movie, and it has a very specific tone. Predator 2 is very much a kind of early 90s,
Almost
you know,
a buddy
when
cop.
it's a buddy cop kind of overly like, you know, you remember in the 90s when it came to stuff, you know, I mean, overly hyper violent, crazy, you know, and obviously having, you know, fucking Murtaugh in there adds to that. And, you know, I think it was, well, yeah, but it just had, they're very different tones. And Alien versus Predator is a different tone. And then that movie that came out, was it 2010, 2012-ish, Predators, that takes place on another planet.
Which I love that movie.
I love that
wish they
movie
did more
too.
movies like that as well.
Yeah, that one has a very sci-fi vibe to it, much more than the other ones do. I liked it, and this one so far I'm watching is almost like very much like a period piece so far. Again, but I like that they have very different tones, but maintain the Predator theme. So, well, somebody's baby is awake.
It's my 2-year-old daughter. Sorry, I thought I had my
damn food, Daddy.
Sorry,
get me some food.
Predator 2 had one of the funniest scenes in it. He goes, "Wait, I'm a police officer," and the old woman's like, "I don't think he gives a shit."
Yeah.
So you got that going for it.
And this one I will say, because the last one that came out, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, like, they really tried to force the comedy. And I still laugh at parts of it, but I realize it's like stupid, dumb, like high school boy comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not going to hit for everyone. This one, you don't see a lot of comedy playing into it, but what comedy you do see is very subtle comedy that I can really respect and laugh my ass off at. Like there's some scenes that's like, huh, that's funny. Like it's not supposed to be funny, and not everyone would see it as funny, but me being, you know, someone who enjoys history and like technology of that, like I find it funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one you easily pay money to go see it. Like it would have made money in the theaters.
Oh, if this drops, like I'm almost hoping that they do drop this at like a limited theater release or something, just because it deserves to be in a theater, I think.
Agreed.
We'll see. Hopefully, I get to finish it today. You know, I know my wife wants to watch it. We just haven't like lined up today to finish watching. I wasn't going to watch it without her because she would have got pissed, and you know how that goes. We got another super chat. Another one from Stephen D. Martin says, "Great topics. Always try to support." I do appreciate that. Thank you, Steve. Mr. Stephen Martin, Steve D. Martin, not Stephen Martin. Still, I'm going to pretend like you are Steve Martin, just because I want to feel
Who
like
is
Steve
the
Martin's
same age since I've been alive.
Yeah, I did, because he's in a new show that I've watched the first few episodes of.
Was it like Murders
in the Building?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched the first few episodes. He looks the same as he's looked for the last like 30 years.
Yeah, since like the late 90s. He's the exact.
I'm just like, what the?
No, the Jerk. He looks the same way as he has since the Jerk.
Patrick Stewart used to be like that. Now he just looks old.
Oh,
but for the longest times, he looked like he was in his 30s and 40s.
Have you ever
even
seen
when he was like 60s?
The test where they put a wig on Patrick Stewart?
Yes.
For Star Trek? Oh, that's
my
horrible.
God, that's hilarious. It's so bad too. I'm so glad they didn't do that. I'm so glad they didn't do that. Like I get the criticism, like what, they haven't cured baldness in the future? Like I get it. Like they certainly would have, but and nobody would choose to just fucking just be bald, right? Like you wouldn't do that. Like you just no. But like holy shit, that wig looked fucking horrible. It was so bad. It's got to be on YouTube somewhere. I'm pretty sure that's where I watched it.
We got to mention Lahura died this week.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything.
That's right. Uhura did die this week. Nichelle Nichols passed away. And now there's only 2 left. It's Walter Koenig and William Shatner are the only 2 original Star Trek actors that are still around.
Is that Chekhov?
Yeah, Walter Koenig's Chekhov.
No. The Sulu's
Oh,
alive.
Sulu. Sorry, I forgot about Sulu. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you kind of want to forget about him, though.
I forgot about. Oh my.
Right.
But yeah, I forgot about Sulu. Sorry, there's 3 left because we've lost Nichelle Nichols. We've lost. I'm blanking on his name. Yeah, Scotty. Jimmy Doohan. We lost DeForest Kelly. We've lost Leonard Nimoy. So we've lost those 4. There's 3 left. Right? Yeah.
Cool.
Another super chat from Corey Long says, "Have y'all watched Nope yet?" Nope, I haven't. I want to. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. I was hoping, I was waiting for it to kind of come to the, be able to be watched at home somewhere because I want to watch it. I just don't really want to go to the movies to see it.
Same.
But
I've heard not great things about it.
Here's the general consensus of what I've heard. Good, not great. First half is a lot of buildup and kind of slow. Second half is legitimately, it picks up, and that's why they say it's good, because of the second half. That it's very suspenseful, that there are some great scenes in the movie, but there are aspects of the movie that really didn't make a whole lot of sense. Apparently there's this subplot involving a monkey that people are saying was mildly interesting and that you can kind of see where they were going with it. But in general, it should have just been cut from the movie, and it probably would have made the movie flow a little bit better. So yeah, again, I've heard first half is not great. Second half actually is pretty good. And that kind of equals out to a good movie, but not a great movie, and something that has some issues, but overall can be enjoyed. That's the consensus I've got is, it's fine. Basically, is what I'm getting from it. I don't know. I still want to see it, and I still want to force Duke to watch it.
No, we ain't watching nothing with aliens.
Oh yeah, you gotta force him to watch it.
So
this is the movie that was made by the Keen Peele guy.
Yeah. Jordan Peele. Yeah.
Yep.
Corey Long says it's on F Movies, and the first half is so slow. Yeah, I've seen it on F Movies. I clicked on it, and it's not a great version. Like, it's okay. It's better than like somebody in the freaking movie theater with a camera, but still, it's certainly not HD, and it's kind of whatever. So I may watch it like that, but I'm kind of hoping to wait until I can see it in a good version. But yeah, I do want to see it. I just don't really want to like go to the movies to see it. So, yeah.
Did y'all watch the Amazon series? I think it's called Them.
Oh no, I haven't watched that. Them?
That one's actually pretty good.
Wait, which one's that?
It's the black family that it's set in the 50s.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something new, and I'm like, because that came out a couple years ago, I think.
Well, it's the same guy who made it, right? Peele?
Yeah. Jordan Peele made that too. Yeah. No, that is a good show. Very, very creepy. Duke should definitely watch that. Holy shit, Duke. You would shit yourself and piss all over your shoes.
Oh my gosh.
That show is creepy as fuck.
And it's also infuriating.
Especially if Duke had a twin he never knew about show up.
Oh, God.
First of all, there's only one Duke, baby. There ain't no duplicates.
But, all right, guys. So that wraps it up for today for this weekend's Geek Chat on both the Geek Fusion channel and the NEA channel. Thank you guys for watching on either channel, whichever one you watched on. Thank you guys for your super chats, for your questions, for listening to us geek out on all kinds of things. These chats will kind of go on and evolve, and we'll see. I mean, again, this is only the second one I've done, so we'll see how it goes. At the moment, I'm kind of sticking to the format that I was traditionally used to doing on the NEA channel, which was different. So going forward, may be different things that we do here, just because primarily this show is for the Geek Fusion channel. So it's evolving. We'll see where it ends up. But this is kind of a general idea of what these chats are going to be like, which is just talking about geek stuff. So
Sorry, I
anyway,
can't say too much. I had my 2-year-old running around.
no worries, no worries. I did want to talk to you about the cars, but we can get to that next time.
Okay, no problem.
So, but that will do it for today, guys. So we will see you guys on Geek Fusion next week. Except I do have some videos to post this week, so you'll see those videos. And then on the NEA channel, we'll see you guys on Monday for the free-for-all chat. So that will do it for today. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have fun. Enjoy your weekend.